TikTok Shop is going to be Amazon in 2012. But if you're trying to build something in the digital world, pouring into that platform is where all the money's going to be made.
I created one of the most viral supplement brands on TikTok in less than 12 months. Rob Oliver had a $30 million exit at 26 years old.
Any young entrepreneur in a good spot, don't let the anxiety or stress get the most of you. Like, take a step out. In your 20s as a man, that's the time to develop your skills and make your money. Now is the time to earn your bag, as they say in the States.
Digital marketing, e-commerce, and brand building can take you from 0 to $1 billion.
You feel like your duty as a man is to max out on all these different areas.
Yeah. The more in tune we are with just that inherent primal makeup, the more happier we're going to be. But humans don't know what they want, and so they want what others want. I think on that note, one important thing for, again, young entrepreneurs is...
What's up, guys, and welcome back to First Things First. We have Robert Oliver in the building, aka Mr. RobTheBank. How are you doing?
Doing well, sir. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem, man. Where you come from, America?
Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Puerto Rico's home. Yep.
Nice. When did you move there?
4 years ago, like mid-COVID. It's kind of the U.S.'s Dubai, you know? You guys have your tax advantage there.
Yeah.
Puerto Rico's the one thing that, you know, U.S. citizens, I can't come here and not pay tax. U.S., they follow you.
I always wondered that because when I noticed, like, why is there not many American people in Dubai? And apparently, if you still are an American citizen with American passport, regardless of where you go, you have to pay tax.
Yeah, and I think that's not talked about enough. Like remember that Godsey clip that went viral? I live in Dubai and don't pay any tax.
Yeah.
And I got a bunch of like young U.S. entrepreneurs like, oh, I want to go to Dubai. And it's like, well, my brother, you're still going to pay tax if you go to Dubai. But Puerto Rico is a very interesting setup where the U.S. basically signed a code with the IRS, and as long as you're there 6 months out of the year, you pay 4% federal income tax and no capital gains. So it's a pretty sweet program.
No way. Is it Jake and Logan Paul got?
Yeah. Jake and Logan are like a couple houses down from me. There's a good community in PR, and I think it's one of the, you know, if the government can kind of like put its stuff together, I think it has very unique potential as a country. Unfortunately, the government has a lot of
the corrupt
work to do. It's a different culture. You know, here in Dubai, like they're committed to it. They're building stuff. The roads, you know, are running. In Puerto Rico, it's island time, and so we kind of have our place where we all live and work, and then rest of the island, it gets a little third world the more you get outside of the main hub. How
often do you go back to America?
I'm back. I spent like 7 or 8 months in PR, and then just various trips. Kind of, you know, a lot of time in Miami. Some time in New York, but it seems like there's less of a need to go to the U.S. nowadays, the actual mainland.
Yeah. I mean, I need to go. I need to collaborate with certain people. So that trip is long overdue, but you're right. I don't feel like you need to go there as much as you used to in the past.
No, and then being out here for me too was like another real eye-opening, you know, moment where it's kind of, everyone talks about the West is falling and this and that. And, you know, I've kind of been like, you know, it's overhyped, right? America's still America. And we have a lot of great things. But you come here and it's really night and day how things just work. Like things work, people get stuff done. I've got my business partner in Austin, and he's a guy. He sold his company for $600 million. He owned a big chunk of it. 9-figure guy. Bought the penthouse in the new like luxury building in Austin, which is one of the fastest growing cities in the U.S. This man's hot water does not work in 2 of the showers, and on a you know $8 or $9 million luxury penthouse, brand new construction. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that would never happen here.
No, but when it rains,
well, when it rains, that's a.
Because the thing is, it used to never rain here, and now for some weird reason, it started to rain a little bit more frequently. And when it rains hard, like things stop operating properly, as you have experienced.
No, yeah, they're not ready
the past
for that.
24
that
hours.
Was crazy. But do they seed the clouds? Is that for real?
They do, but from what, like, I've looked into it, and there's no way you can't get that amount of rainfall and the storms that we experienced yesterday. Like the cloud seeding doesn't create storms; it just like enhances the rainfall when there is some cloud. So I don't think they're doing it to that extent, and apparently they've been doing this since like 2012 or something.
Yeah, like it's not a new thing that went wrong.
I think this is something more natural related to climate change. Maybe, I don't know.
I put a little post out today, and it was like Dubai is making such an effort to be, you know, the Miami of the Middle East. They decided to import hurricanes. I saw that out there yesterday. But I looked out on the palm. I took a video. I was just like, holy! Like, I mean, it was trees sideways. Like, that was no joke.
Yeah, apparently it's like that was the worst it's been for like 75 years.
Man.
So it'll be interesting to see if that does become more frequent.
Hopefully not.
If it starts getting like the UK, I'm out. I'm going somewhere else.
Yeah, no kidding. But I feel like even here, right? Like I think the main issue is they're literally not set up to deal with it at all. No drainage, nothing, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like if it was an ongoing thing,
they'd fix it.
They'd fix it.
Yeah.
Whereas in Puerto Rico, for example, hurricanes come every year, and they have $9 billion to redo the power grid, and the power lines are still up out of the, like, it's a raggedy old system on the highways, and so we get a little wind and the power shuts off.
Yeah.
Whereas like
that's the problem with Bali. I don't know if you've been to Bali before. Like the infrastructure on the roads is just not built for the amount of people that are there now. So if you want to get around, especially in the busy areas, like the roads they're just constantly congested, and you just have to like wiggle your way through the traffic in your scooter. And for me, like that's just like one of the biggest things that puts me off from going back there. So I don't know if they need to do something about it, but do they have the money to be able to do that? And a lot of the times, like, these roads are already very narrow, and you got buildings either side of it. So you can't make it wider. What are you gonna do?
No, that sounds horrible, honestly. But overall, you love it here? Like,
oh yeah. I mean, as soon as there comes a place that is going to somehow beat this current setup, then I'll move. Yeah. Like, I like the fact that I'm not too heavily tied down to any place or anywhere. But for my current position right now, like I don't have any kids or anything like that. It's good.
Yeah. No,
and obviously I have my time when I'm out of the place, come back in between like October and May. There's a lot of stuff going on. Ramadan is a little bit quieter. I was just in Japan for 3 weeks during Ramadan. A lot of people go out during that time, but yeah, for now it's the place to be. I don't know if in 5 years time, 6 years time, Saudi becomes the new Dubai. Like,
I see him trying.
Yeah.
I see him trying. I'm actually like, US wise, I get hate for saying something like this, but I think what MBS is doing over there is like, it's smart. It's in, buying the golf tour, getting involved with boxing.
Yeah.
He's shaping culture. And like in the West, people are like, oh, he's the, whatever. And I'm looking at it like that's where the world's going, and he's taking his piece of it. So that's,
Yeah. How old are you now?
I'm 31. I turned 32 in May. Yeah. How about you?
I'm 33.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. It's a good age to be. I feel like we've done what we needed to do, and we're living a pretty good life.
Men start to hit that stride. I feel like, post 30s, like that's kind of a man's, that 30 to 40 range is like a good time to be alive.
Yeah. What were you doing for the majority of your 20s?
I was building the Genius brand.
Okay.
So that was my first supplement company. And I honestly, like, if you look at pictures from me back then and kind of like what my life was like I was glued to a computer screen and didn't care about my appearance or anything like that. But I was, I think being 20, like in your 20s as a man, that's the time to develop your skills and make your money. And I think that's lost nowadays in today's world. How old's your audience in general? Like what's the average?
I feel like they've grown with me.
Okay.
So I started doing the whole YouTube thing 26, 27.
Yep.
And because I'm not making videos doing stupid shit, like just doing like the funny, entertaining videos. Yep. I feel like I'm attracting an audience that are a similar age bracket to me. So predominantly it seems to be between 25, 35.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't want to knock any of the ones post 30, but to the 25-year-olds, like now is the time to earn your bag, as they say in the States, and really like develop your skills. And so you do live an awesome life post 30. That was one of the reasons I wanted to do this podcast with you. I'm going to do a lot more this year, but I'm being pretty just selective of like who I even talk or work with, because one of my messages is I think the point of making money and the point of like grinding and doing any of this stuff is to live a cool life and like have experiences. And I think you're one of the few guys, like Rob Libset's another one that, you guys are you're living it, but you're having experiences, you're running your business, like you're maxing out multiple stats, you're not like, how many business owners, that maybe have like more money or whatever, but live lives that you would never in a million years.
They have a terrible work-life balance.
Most like, higher network people do.
No offense to like Hormozy, but like I watch what he does, and
I feel myself.
Waking up like 4 in the morning, literally just working all day.
Yeah.
Goes to the gym and then goes to bed and repeats it.
Yeah.
But he loves it. So fair enough. If you love the grind, if that's what you love to do, then okay, I'm sure he's happy in some alternate way. But that's not the life which I
see. I don't know if he either really loves it or isn't working as hard as he portrays on camera. Because there's a lot of that out there too with people and how they control their brand image. Because Hormozy is one of the smartest, OG internet marketers. I mean, he really is. He's presented now as like our Gary V or like business guy of this generation. But he's he's a lethal marketer. And so when he showed up with acquisition.com with the hat and the tank every time and the Crocs, that is his image. That is his calculated image. And him working all the time is part of that image, right? And, you know, I love the brand stuff. Like, we can talk bigger personal brands and kind of some of the cool ones, but a lot of that stuff is an intentional thought on how they
it was weird because
I
I remember when I first started seeing, I never clicked on the videos.
Yeah.
But I saw the
thumbnails
and I was like, why the fuck is this guy like dressing like this with the nose strip as well? And then I figured out, okay, yeah, it's intentional, because when you see him, you're always going to know, oh yeah, that's
Hormozy.
Yeah,
that's Hormozy, and it's stuck. And then even my favorite personal brand, I think, on YouTube, or one of them at least, is Godzi. I think it's hilarious that he has a group of 18 to 25-year-olds wanting to dress like old money. Like, when we, back when we were that age, you look at Laurel Piano and you're like, that's my grandpa's shit. But the way he's played it and the way he's always managed that aesthetic, I think is beautiful. And I think it pays off for him, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. But when you term it something particular, you call it life maxing.
Life maxing is my new word. Yeah.
Do you think it's possible to do that before you've earned the money, or do you have to earn the money first and then you can kind of live life to the max?
I really think taking a decent chunk of the money you're earning and doubling down on experiences. So coming to Dubai, or like whatever, buying that car or whatever, I think those things start to unlock more money, which I think probably, some people might say that's crazy. I practice it in my own life. I've seen it unfold. I think it starts to cultivate that whole abundance mindset without being like all foo-foo with it. I think you really, as you step into this next thing that you're supposed to be, you have to feel that. Like, the internet's littered with magnetic, attraction and this and that. But I really do think as you start to open those doors yourself and step into it, and I'm not saying be reckless. I'm not saying take a credit card and go buy the Ferrari just so you can make the next payment, but I think the more you do consciously invest in living more life, I think the better things start becoming for you in general, like financially.
Yeah, and even after you come back from either taking a trip or having an experience, you think differently.
You think absolutely.
If you're staying in the same place for too long, you get caught up in the cycle of just repeat.
Yes.
And it's just like, this is just what I'm supposed to do. But if you go away, break out of that routine, do something completely different, step out your comfort zone and come back, you're like, oh, hang on a second.
Doors start opening. You really do start like finding those opportunities and I think the key of all that too is stay focused on your mission, like know what you're wanting to do with all of it. Like, my thing now, I'm building my current brand, Top Shelf, and I have my talk track for that, and everything I do kind of, that's in the back of my mind, but my lifestyle starts to kind of form around what we're building there, you know? So, yeah.
How much money do you reckon you need to be able to live a fuck you lifestyle?
It depends where you're at. A fuck you lifestyle in New York is probably $1 billion, honestly. like a couple $100 million, like, doesn't even, you can live good, but like, New York's a different animal. Here seems like a different animal too.
Yeah.
So I think it's more about, I think specifically when you think about a fuck you lifestyle, it's who are you accountable to with what you say. And this is one thing I've found, that it doesn't stop, right? I sold my first company. It was an 8-figure thing. So I'm this 26, 27-year-old with, double-digit millions in my bank account, but there were still people that I knew if I did this or I did that, it would offend them. And those were people that mattered to me, and those were opinions that mattered to me. And so I think until you let go of those things, you're not free.
Yeah. Well, so going back to this brand, it was called the Genius brand. So how did this come about? How did it start?
So I'm just a young kid getting out of college, and I'm kind of trying to like figure out what I want to do with my life. A lot of people in the States are pouring into Amazon. My uncle was helping consumer electronic brands sell on there, and he's making like good money. And I'm like, this space is interesting. And I love supplements. Like, I was the workout guy. I don't know too much about the industry, but long story short, I ended up kind of just cold calling supplement brands, telling them I can work for them. Let me be your Amazon guy. Who were the big brands like back in, did you have a lot of US brands in the UK? You were probably living back, this is like 2013.
When I was just getting into the gym, I think Optimum Nutrition was pretty heavily placed there. Was it BSN?
Yeah, BSN.
Yeah.
NO Explode. Jack was probably big everywhere, right?
Jack TBT was good back.
Back before they made it legal, unfortunately. Bastards. But so that was my era. I started helping a lot of these companies sell on Amazon. I kind of become this like expert. And do you remember GAT Nitroflex? That was another really popular pre-workout. And I'm like, I think I'm 22 at the time, and I'm going 23, and I'm going, this shit's like really bad for me. It was around like the protein spiking time. And I'm like, yo, like, hold on, what am I doing? You know, I'm getting stronger and stuff, and my body's kind of breaking down. And long story short, that prompted me to, I just want to make like clean sports nutrition supplements. And so that was kind of the idea of Genius. People knew I could market on Amazon. I felt confident in my ability to build a business that way. So I called up this manufacturer. I was like, hey, like I got X amount of, I think I had like $5,000. I gave it to them as a deposit. They knew I was good. And they gave me terms. We rolled out 2 products, and then I just literally bootstrapped that thing from there. Eventually moved more into like lifestyle and nootropics as I kind of moved away. I think every individual has that transition, or they should. Like I was hardcore gym bro from like 22 to 24, 25. And then my interests expanded more to like, entrepreneurship and making money and nootropics and biohacking and like general health, and took the brand kind of that direction. It kind of continued to grow. And then I sold it in 2019.
What was the first 3 products you had? 3 products?
The first so I did a caffeine-free fat burner. At the time, like fat burners were largely trash. It was like the scammiest section.
But they always sold pretty well.
They sold like crazy. And so I'm looking at that going, people are selling these $20 stimulant pills. Let me do a caffeine-free, like premium, expensive product. Like, let me try to make it actually work, right? And like the claims were all in line. Like, okay, yeah, maybe you can lose an extra 2 pounds a month, like otherwise, like nothing crazy, right? But super premium, no stimulants. So I did that. Then I did a loaded pre-workout with no caffeine. Because again, I'm like, a good pre-workout formula shouldn't be based on stimulants. It shouldn't be the jacked era. Like, I want to be a meth head. It should be like, what's helping workout performance? So I did those 2. And then I did a extended release caffeine and launched those 3.
Nice. Were they powder form or pill?
The fat burner was pill, a capsule, and then the pre-workout was powder.
Yeah. And did you face any obstacles when you were scaling that company? Or was it all pretty
like crazy, bro? Like Amazon was like magic because it was like parabolic. Like the platform's getting bigger. I'm one of the best marketers on there. I'm running ads, maneuvering all of it. But every time at the same time, it's the Wild West. And so it was like real, it was like kind of joke. There's like Amazon mafia. Like you had the Russians, you had like this other guy who lives in Puerto Rico with the gold Lambo, like there's all this money being made. And so people are bribing insiders. Like I almost had my business shut off 2-3 times. At one point we're a $10 million, brand, maybe 2.5 years in. I wake up one day and like everything had Guy Fawkes masks on my Amazon listings. Like where it used to be product pictures, I have Guy Fawkes masks. And then the whole brand got pulled offline for like a month because somebody paid an insider at Amazon to fuck with our stuff.
Shit.
And so a lot of that, as a young guy running a company, your nerves are kind of like all over the place. But
were you making most of the money through Amazon versus people just going to the website?
All Amazon. I had a website, but like it was literally, I was good at maneuvering. I found it was a moment in time where customers are coming and searching pre-workout, right?
Yeah.
And GAT Nitroflex doesn't know how to do it. BSN NO Explode does not know how to do it. Robert Oliver knows how to show up at the top of that algorithm with my pre-workout, number 1. And the eyeballs that came from that and the sales that ultimately were built, like I wasn't the only one that did this either. Like a whole era of brands was born as the old stuff kind of felt like you don't see Optimum Nutrition as much anymore. You don't see NO Explode at all. And it's because they didn't adapt to the next level of internet growth. It's happening again right now with the TikTok shop in the States. I think TikTok shop's going to eat the world. You just got back from Japan. They all shop on the, video short form. Like there's another shift.
Yeah. I mean, that's something I want to get onto in a bit. But in regards to this company, so you scaled it, and then it got to the point where you eventually exited for 30 mil.
30 mil is the valuation, yeah.
So how did that happen? I want to know how you managed to successfully exit.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, that's one of those ones. Selling a business is crazy. If I could go back and do that again, I should have appreciated what I had. Like people hear 30 mil valuation, and long story short, I took care of some people. There was an earn out. I put like 23 in my pocket, and so that's life changing for anyone at that age. I hadn't paid myself well, but building a company to that level, that's like the hard part. I think I left 100 plus on the table, taking it to the next level. So I always got to start this story with that caveat. You know, I really think any young entrepreneur in a good spot, don't let the anxiety or stress get the most of you. Like take a step out, you know, zoom out and kind of see what you're building. But anyways, that whole process, Amazon brands are starting to become popular. Like private equity is seeing that the numbers here are real. Kind of like I said, old brands are falling by the wayside. This seems to be the future. This whole Amazon thing is here to stay. And so they start coming in and kind of making unsolicited offers. So I didn't know what I was doing. Like I didn't go shop it, anything like that. This private equity fund came in, they bought my manufacturer. Then they basically hand me a term sheet. They're like, you know, the manufacturer calls me. They're like, hey guys, or hey Rob, you know, these guys want to talk to you. Have one call with them. And a week later I get an email telling me that, you know, these are the terms. And if you want to move forward, we'll move into due diligence. And so, yeah, sign that contract. And the next 6 months were them tearing apart my business, making sure everything's real, audits, like all that type of stuff before I ultimately get the check. And so it was not an awesome process.
Yeah. It's interesting that the amount of work you have to do in preparation for a sell.
That's horrible. It's horrible. And we didn't do any of that, right? Like a lot of people will be like, hey, I'm ready to sell. I'm getting ready to sell. So I'm going to take the first 6 months to, you know, get a CFO in there and this and that. And I'm just this kid, kind of like I didn't have previous experience. I built it to a certain level and I hired my team and like there's a business there, but this is not like, I mean, this is really my first rodeo, right? And so I'm kind of figuring it out as I go, and then going into due diligence without being prepared was like, oh, it was a shitstorm, bro.
You don't have any mentors or anyone you can speak to?
At the time, no. Yeah. Like and now I got a great network, but back then it was like me, one of my best friends was kind of my right-hand man, smart as they come, like attorney. And then one of my other best friends, and that was kind of our key like thing.
Well, definitely could have been worse.
No, I mean, it worked out, right? It worked out. But I mean, they definitely, like, looking back, you're like, oh, you know, this number is huge. I didn't negotiate at all. Yeah. Like I guarantee you I could have at least squeezed another 5 out of them on that. And when you start thinking millions, it's like, yeah, you put your feet in the ground and fight. I mean, it's hard to make a couple $1 million. Like I don't believe what the internet says. I mean, a couple million is like a lot of work. And so when you have that opportunity in that moment where it's like, yeah, they're probably willing to budge on another 3 or 4. It's like the work I'd have to do to rebuild 3 or 4 is like insane. And so
what did that feel like then? You've sold it. I don't know did they require you to still?
Yeah, they had me stay on. There was an earn out. It was not. So I was reminded I have no interest in ever working for someone ever again. Like I won't do that again. If I sell another business, I will. It'll be a like.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's like you're giving it away. It's now somebody else's, but then you're still required to basically run it. But now you're taking orders from someone else, so you can't really do. You don't have the freedom to do what you really want to do. No,
exactly. And they try to act all friendly with it, like, you know, we're empowering you and this and that. Like I stuck around for like 18 months before I was finally like, you know, kind of fuck this. And it was a good, am I fine swearing on here?
Yeah.
And it was a good private equity fund, like no knock on them. But at the end of the day, when you're signing up to work a job for someone else, it's just not something I think, I know I'm not made for. And I think if you have that general entrepreneurial mindset, it's not.
So for all those people who are listening, these future millionaires, you advise them, if you are going to sell a business, just get out of it completely.
Get it to the point where you can get out completely. Yeah. And part of that issue, like for me, that wasn't an option because there wasn't enough structure. I was still very much key to it. So if I wanted to sell, I had to go with it for a time.
Yeah.
But again, like in the future, the more you can reduce risk for a buyer, that's kind of the talk track. The more you can reduce risk, meaning have a good management team, having like all these different things in place, the more money they'll pay you, period. Yeah. And then the more able you are to just say, no, this is a clean deal. Like you take it, you know, shake hands, congratulations, and you move on.
I imagine that's the case for a lot of influencer brands who are kind of still either the face of the company or heavily tied to it. Like if they can't just walk away from it and expect the company to continue.
No, frankly, those aren't sellable. Like who would buy a brand that's dependent on influencer X, right? Like when if one day they wake up and decide they don't want to pump it anymore or whatever, right? There's too much key man risk. But you look at a great brand that I think they've done it perfectly is Simeon's with InnoSups. Oh, yeah. Like Simeon was the jump off. Like he definitely helped that get going, and he's he'll do very well on the whole deal.
Is he a shareholder in that?
Yeah, he's a big shareholder.
Okay.
Like, I mean, really
that
big
makes sense because he pushes that heavy.
Like
I'm
crazy,
like,
right?
I'm like, he's either getting like loads of money every month or this actually his thing.
Yeah. It might be private, so I probably shouldn't say what he owns, but I know he'll do extremely well on that.
Yeah.
And they built it around him, right? Now they spend a ton on paid media. They have other influencers. Like, he's not the guy, and so they've done a great job with that one.
Nice. So, what was your mindset at this point in time where you suddenly had all this money? Like,
oh man, I was like, my life made it. Like, I got double-digit millions in the bank. Like, I made it. I don't have to work anymore. Like, what else is there to life? And I kid you not, like, that first day it was incredible. Like, I kept refreshing my account. I was like, this is amazing. And then the next day, literally the next day, I'm kind of like, okay, what now? You know, was I 20, 27, 28, 5 years ago? And
it's borderline dangerous to be that young and have that amount of money.
But I didn't know how to, bro, I sat on the money for 2 years too.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything. Like, I drove a Tesla Model X, and I had like a nice house in Seattle, but like, I was like I don't know, I went through something. Like, I had to like find myself, right? I'm kind of, like, the money literally just sat in a money market for almost all of it for 2 years before I was like, hold on, Puerto Rico, hold on, you know, new levels to life. There's a lot more out there.
Yeah.
And I think on that note, one important thing for, again, young entrepreneurs is just like, the journey is like, it's so cliche, but the journey really is like a lot of the fun, like building Genius those early days before the end result. Like, that was I loved that shit. And then all of a sudden I didn't have it anymore. And my identity was kind of tied to that too. So I had to go back to the drawing board and figure out, you know, what it is I want to do.
And what was that?
Man, eventually, after like a lot of soul searching and a move to PR, I want to make a dent on this whole culture, like from a cultural perspective. Like, I love what, I think Tate was like one of the first dominoes on that, where you saw like, okay, the world's headed this way. I got daughters, like, whatever. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh no, like, you can actually influence this a little bit, and you can make more money on it, and you can experience a good life, and like all those things just all of a sudden made that philosophy of life maxing. Like, let me go out there and max out every single stat I can personally do, and in the process create some sort of movement or some sort of dent or some sort of impact. So back building, and I've literally never been happier.
I have a question for you guys. Do you take supplements? And if you do you really know what supplements you should be taking? You see, this is a problem I had for years. I would walk into a supplement store, I would buy loads of random bottles of supplements and just pop pills every day, hoping for the best. But in reality, I had no idea whether or not I should be consuming these supplements. That is where Bionic came into the picture and solved that problem. You see, I've been working with Bionic for the past couple of years, and since 2021, I've been getting my blood work done with them every 3 to 4 months. And based on that blood work, they send it off to get analyzed, and then they put together a very specific customized formula for me, which will last me for 3 to 4 months until I get my next blood work done. And honestly, it's been an absolute game changer for me. They also offer another product called Bionic Go, where all you need to do is go onto the website, fill in questionnaire, and then based on that questionnaire, they can give you your customized supplements. So if that sounds like something that would be of interest, which I highly recommend, go onto the website, bionic.com, and you can use the link in my description to get a nice little discount on your first order. Because you mentioned it before, you feel like your duty as a man is to max out on all these different areas, to become the strongest you can be, become the smartest you can be.
Yeah, I think there's fulfillment in that. Like, I think we're inherently designed to conquer, like, we have testosterone, you know, like it's a biological thing. And so I think the more we lean into that in our own framework, right? Some people aren't going to like this, some people aren't going to like that. But I think the more in tune we are with just that inherent primal makeup, the more happier we're going to be. And so for me, as I build, you know, Top Shelf, I'm thinking through that 18 to 25-year-old that's been very much, you know, kind of disregarded, and they're told to act a certain way, and they're told to be modest, and they're told to, you know, go get their degree and do X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, you know, how about, here's an alternative. Like, here's an alternative lifestyle. Like, not only did I like make it or make like big boy money, but you can live a cool life too. You can go to Dubai, you can go to Tokyo, you can, you know, work with other people that you think are cool and living a good life, and just build. And there's a need for that. And it has me doubling down.
And one of the most satisfying things about my job now is just having the opportunity to sit down and speak to some pretty amazing people that have achieved some pretty impressive things. So that's definitely something I want to continue to do. And I think definitely one of the things that started to open doors for all of this was just sorting myself out, going to the gym, improving my appearance. At least if you improve the way you look, you don't have to be jacked, an absolute monster, but just like at least look as though you're taking care of yourself. You'll start to realize and notice that, okay, it starts to open doors and provide opportunities for you.
Mike, have you seen that, on that note, the taking care of yourself and how you look, have you seen, there's like a fringe movement on TikTok called looks maxing? Have you seen that?
No.
That's kind of where the whole life maxing thing came from. It's like these kids 16 to like 19 that are like hyper focused on their looks. And a lot of it's like good, you know, it's like, oh, your, you know, jaw structure, and you should, you know, be eating mastic gum or chewing mastic gum to get a better jawline, and girls this or girls that. And it's gotten a little too far. Like it's almost like it's like gay.
Yeah.
It's like it's a little, they're all like kind of skinny and like, you know, quote unquote pretty.
Yeah.
But the idea that like young people are all of a sudden, you know, girls aren't going to like us if we're not attractive. If we don't get it, like, you know, how they do their hair, like haircuts is really important, you know, burst fade, this, that, you have this head shape. And I think that root at the center of it just shows like, okay, how far men have been kind of rejected and the whole incel culture has existed, and it's a way of fighting back. It's like, let us get more attractive, and I think guys should try to look as good as they humanly can. Like, I mean, period. Like if you can afford to fix your teeth, if you can, you know, get your hair cut every week. I don't think enough people say that. It's like, oh, it's superficial or, you know, whatever. But you get mad because the girls don't talk to you.
Yeah.
And the second you look, like you go out with Mike Thurston, little homie, they're not going to talk to you. They're going to go talk to Mike because he does all the things. And I think people are so afraid to say that. I mean, like really, and it's weird.
Well, even I think I was 20, was it 28 at the time? Yeah. My hair was fucked. I mean, everybody in my family is going bald.
Yeah.
And it was a bad
That's how
way.
you did the hair transplant
yeah,
thing.
because
Like,
everybody was commenting on my videos, like just commenting on the hair. And I was like, there's two options: shave it. I could have got away with shaving it, but I was like, no, I want to have hair. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this hair transplant, but I'm gonna document it to try and make it
acceptable. And that's huge. That's, I mean, I just did my teeth. I went to Kanye's dentist, and to make an extra statement of like my life where I'm at, I put a literal diamond in there, like permanently in the veneer. But I really feel like I saw you smile when we were kind of talking about it, but that's like a thing that's not talked enough about. Like the whole guys should try to have a certain appearance. And one of the things that happens to older entrepreneurs is they get married and in relationships, and they just totally fall apart. Like I mean, not like on the surface they look fine, but you know they've let themselves go. Like they're not hitting the gym the same. You know, they're not getting their hair cut. And then their wives don't have interest in them, and it creates a boring life. Yeah. I mean, it really starts to. I got another friend in the supplement world. He's worth 100. He's like early 40s, and I'm telling him about, you know, my life and like kind of some of the things I'm doing and my wife and I's relationship. And he just looks at me and he goes, I hate my life. My life's boring. You know, I'm like, and on paper, this is the guy with, you know, he's got the Aspen house. He's in Denver, you know, multiple houses, like gets to fly private. And he's sitting there like, yeah, no, my life, like, I can't remember the last time I've had a cool experience or anything. Like, I think the relationships and sex and all of that, I think that's like a huge part that nobody talks about. And I think a lot of discontent comes from that. And it starts with caring about how you look.
Yeah. But even beyond that, particularly when you get into your 30s, I feel like that's when it becomes a little bit more important to start thinking about your overall health, because you can be living a great quality lifestyle in your 30s, even your 40s, but you don't want to get ill or have some kind of a disease in the last 20 years of your life be an absolute disaster. No, I want to be going to the gym every single day until the day that I die.
Absolutely. And you should be able to. I mean, really, like that's not out of the realm of possibilities, but most people don't think like that. You're probably like me, like whenever I go somewhere, I build my routine in life around training, and then everything else falls in place, you know, behind that. Like when I was here, I was like, where's the MMA gym? I want to train. And then, you know, whatever we got after that, cool. But if you don't set your life up around taking care of yourself, then you failed life maxing right off the bat.
Yeah. What is it that you're working on now? I know you're looking to build a new brand.
Yeah. So I am building the first, what I would call designer consumable brand. It's called Top Shelf.
What is designer consumable brand?
I love the luxury world. Like when I look at, you know, Chrome Hearts.
Yeah.
So I want to build.
That stuff is so expensive.
It's super expensive. Yeah. It's always in demand. It's a multi-billion-dollar brand. And I want to create something like that more in consumables. So we're doing, you know, a cologne. We have a testosterone kind of male optimization product, and just build really high end, good shit. No one's really done that yet.
So these products would be separate from one another under different like names, and
it's all under that top shelf thing. But yeah, we're kind of going like flagships under that. So Kingmaker's the male optimization product. Love Bombed is the pheromone cologne. We have like a coffee hybrid called Alpha Grind, and just kind of unique, specific, solution driven, like ultra premium products.
Are you coming up with these ideas?
Yeah, largely. Yeah, I kind of look at like what's like the looks maxing thing. Like what is this generation thinking about and looking for? And Alpha Grind was our first superhero product on TikTok. And
yeah, you said you only need one product to completely change your life.
Yeah,
an example of that
definitely
is the Alpha Grind.
Like Alpha Grind changed the brand for sure. Like the brand was kind of this stale. Yeah, I had done it. Top Shelf Grind was around 3 years ago when I sold Genius. I was like, I need to do something to keep my mind sharp. It was coffee. I like coffee. And then it all kind of changed around the Tate time. You're seeing this like influx of, for lack of a better word, you call it the red pill movement. It's all you see on TikTok. It's all you see there. I'm like, this generation needs a product. And that's kind of where Alpha Grind was born. I took that, it's coffee, but then that general supplement knowledge of like, okay, how can we, make it Tate-esque, really. Like that whole early thing was designed around his impact and his influence. Funny story there.
Have you seen his supplement line he's brought out? Like the protein powder that has no flavor.
It hurts me, bro. It hurts. So I talked to Tate. Really funny story. I talked to him right when he got out. We got a mutual friend. I woke up one morning. I told the friend, I was like, yo, like if he just put Alpha Grind on the table during an emergency meeting, like that is going to sell. Like, we could create $1 billion thing. And my friend was like, yeah, no, I agree. Like kind of, supplements. So I wake up in a group text with Tate, and on WhatsApp, it's the gold Bugatti. I'm like, oh, this dude's a big deal. Holy shit. I'm like, yo, what's up, Andrew? I'm sorry you're going through all this shit. Like, would love to talk business. Da, da, da. His first immediate response is, he goes, don't worry. The side effect of all this nonsense is anything I touch turns to gold. And I'm like, okay, it's authentic. I love it. Let's roll. So talked to him a little bit. We weren't able to put a deal together just with kind of his attorneys and his team. We couldn't find something that made sense. But it was the first product. See an opportunity, find that window, that niche, and then take a swing at the bat. And Alpha Grind worked.
It's interesting with Tate. I've seen him now. He claim that he's a billionaire. Now I think his brand and his name is for sure worth $1 billion.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's got that money like floating around.
I doubt he's a liquid billionaire.
Yeah.
And look at like Kanye. When you have a lot of forces that don't want you to have what maybe you've had or earned or whatever, you're not going to have it. Like period. And so I doubt he has access to $1 billion. I think if he can put this stuff behind him, and I don't know why he left Dubai. Do you know why he left Dubai? Does he just get bored?
No. So this was just before Christmas and New Year's. They actually just wanted to go on holiday. So they were actually going to go to Courchevel, and they were going to celebrate New Year's in Courchevel.
Yeah.
And they stopped by Romania to pick up something from the house, do whatever, and then that's when they got raided. And now at the point now where obviously they can't leave Romania. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure, I think I was speaking to him, as soon as he is able to travel, no doubt he'll be probably basing himself here. And he did mention something about Hungary. I think he said he wanted to get a castle in Hungary.
Anywhere where they're not going to extradite him, any non-Western place, because that kill. It just sucks. Like to see him actually spend that time in jail, and then all of a sudden it's not.
But I think that overall that got a lot of people to side with him.
Yeah, for sure.
Because a lot of people would just see it. They're like, "Hang on, this doesn't make any sense. Like, how can there just be? There's no evidence of anything. How can you still keep him in these shitty conditions?" The
Tate thing is a real hero's journey played out live. Someone that got all the things and then still was willing to die for it. And I have nothing but respect for that. It's why on a lot of the other, a lot of pseudo Tate movements.
Oh yeah.
And I just don't have a lot of respect for those because they've kind of latched on, like masculinity is masculinity. I like to fight. I'll post about it. I'll talk about whatever, but I'm not hijacking like that dude was that's what he was doing. That was his specific thing. And you had a lot of little vultures. Like when he went to jail in particular too, like, oh, this is my time now. Let me take the same talking points. Let me go find all his tweets. Let me run his tweets on all these TikTok accounts and go viral. and capitalize on a little of that movement. And I don't have a lot of respect for that, frankly.
Yeah, there was a lot of wannabes. You see, the problem is, it's like you don't have anything to back you up.
No,
and
none.
the things that you say,
None.
like, it's like, actually you can't fight.
But
first
these young
of all,
kids
and
are
then
so stupid.
You haven't made the money.
No, but these young kids are so impressionable. You know, that's why I was like, man, this is lame. Because you have the guy that did make the money, that did fight, that again was willing to die for it, and then you got the, you know, like wannabe semi ecom crypto whatever that just like whatever. You know, it's a weird mix.
Yeah. Moving on to the TikTok shop world. I know you're quite a big advocate of this. How is this going to change the game?
TikTok shop is going to be Amazon in 2012. The reason like I was able to crush it on Amazon, I went all in and like I made it my life, but I found the right opportunity at the right time. I mean, that can be said for a lot of people and a lot of things, like even early Instagram. You know, a lot of people's careers were built because they were like early IG. You know, they made their money because of that. On that note, actually, too, kudos. I have shit ton of respect for people that stay on top of the game as it evolves. And so like that's one of the reasons I'm really, you've been doing this a long time and you haven't like, you know, you're still running it. But anyways, TikTok is the next early Amazon, where it's like you can fumble into there and you can make your little $10,000 a month doing this or doing that. And it's going to keep evolving to the point that I think that platform will eat most of Western shopping even. Like I think they do about 10 billion in sales right now annually. Amazon does like, it's close to over 100 billion. I want to say like 300 or 400 billion. Over time, TikTok's going to eat that over the next decade. So you're super early, like the old way. You Shopify, everyone is under threat right now by TikTok Shop. And so if you're, you know, young or not even young, like, but if you're trying to build something in the digital world, pouring into that platform is where all the money's going to be made.
There is a few issues though, which I think I have currently experienced because I set up my TikTok in the UAE.
Okay.
And it's not allowing me to start a TikTok shop.
Yep.
So I would have to, do you think that's going to change?
Yeah.
Like, what would you recommend I do in that? Like, I can't fucking use it.
No, I mean, I think you got to buy one in the US. Like you got to find like literally like buy someone's LLC and run it through there. But again, like we were so early, those are going to be the common problems, right? Like there'll be all sorts. I'm suspended. We did $900,000 my third month on there last month, and they kicked us off because of like some, like, I mean, really kind of nonsensical issues, like fulfillment related tracking numbers.
So wasn't the content going against guidelines? It was just...
No, it was just like literally operations based. And remember I was telling you early Amazon was like the Wild West. Like it was the same thing. I mean, it was just so chaotic that everyone's kind of shuffling, and like, it really comes down to who's going to figure this out, who's going to find that edge, who's going to rise to the top. Because this whole e-commerce game, it's not about finding the right product to sell, like in general. It's about, can you generate a ton of traffic at a clip that makes sense? So either free or you know, close to free. And that's what TikTok is. Like when you have a clip go viral, right? And you're like, how much would you have had paid for that on like a YouTube, right? Yeah. Where on TikTok, it's like, oh, I just got 10 million views for free, right? And so that's why I think it's fundamentally the game's changing, but that's where all the money's at too.
Well, I think that's now taken over what used to be the main thing. I mean, particularly when I was growing up in my 20s, there was the like influencer paid posts where you would put up a picture, the influencers holding 100%. A tub of protein, and that would be the way to sell products. But money. Now it's like...
Now that's saturated.
Now you want to almost create a piece of content, which is a short form video, but somehow make it engaging, entertaining.
Yeah.
That it may end up going viral, getting over 10 million views. And if you can successfully do that whilst you promoted the product or there's some sort of product placement in there, then you've smashed it.
Our genius marketing strategy, and it doesn't come from me. Like I'm 31 now. My business partner is 23. He's like one of the like TikTok marketing goats, and he that's what they call him. And he you know the tape model that he did with Hustlers University with all the accounts that were incentivized?
Yeah.
He does it for product. And so he trains these kids to make, you know, they make a new TikTok account. It could be health supplement, it could be cologne, you know, best cologne, whatever, like a affiliate blank page. And he trains them very specifically on content styles that are likely to go viral with a product plug. And so the reason Top Shelf is blown up, we have 100+ affiliate accounts all running a piece of content every day. Tape model-esque. It's tape model for for product. And we are getting like, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of views and serious dollars in sales from it.
Are these people just like, give me an example of a piece of content these guys would make?
It's like one that works right now is AI voices. Like it's the same. You think through the content, like similar to how we would. A clip from this that'll go viral is hook retention. I mean, period, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so one that went super viral for Kingmaker is like, it's an AI voice. Men's testosterone is down 60% over the last, and then it kind of runs into almost like a mini VSL on why that is and things in the water. And that's why you need the best natural testosterone supplement for And some of those videos, I mean, we've had videos that get 10+ million views on short form and do, probably not 6 figures in sales from one video, but when you're scaling 50, 60, 70, 80 accounts, like you start getting some serious traction. And I know this is the future of e-commerce. It'll evolve, it'll change a little bit, but that short form discovery, that buying right there, that like the things that are going to work are going to continue to optimize for that world, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But is there anything like this on, I mean, there's a Facebook marketplace. Instagram has it as well. Why do you think TikTok is going to be that much more powerful?
They're hungry and China's locked in on it and all that shit I just talked about the West. I think that's real. I think Bezos is out of Amazon. I think tech culture's lost its way. Meanwhile, you got ByteDance and TikTok opening up their own fulfillment houses, their own, delivery trucks. They're buying everything. It's like MBS with culture. They're coming to the US and they're buying all the Amazon talent. They're doing all this stuff. And I think long-term that wins. Like their AI is just better. They don't really play by the rules. Like they're all in your data, but the end result will be them being the go-to platform, in my opinion.
What do you mean by Amazon brand arbitrage? You've said that before.
Typically, so it actually ties to this. When something goes viral on TikTok, the idea starts to percolate everywhere else. So you're familiar with supplements. You remember She Legit? Like She Legit's been around since our early, probably careers as a natural test booster, but it was like nobody talked about it. It probably got like 10,000 searches a month on Amazon, like just not that big of a deal. And then something catches on TikTok for whatever reason, or some idea starts to catch on TikTok, everyone starts going and searching on Amazon and Google. And so if you're trying to fast track like a way to make money online, catching those little windows, so like simply literally creating a brand and launching it on Amazon with all that traffic kind of behind you, it's like a really good way to make some money out of the jump and fast track a brand.
Okay.
Does that make sense? It's
Yeah. You've mentioned before as well, if you want to understand influence, you need to understand mimetic desire. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. I mean, mimetic desire, I think, is one of the most interesting components of this last decade. It's always been around, but humans don't know what they want. And so they want what others want. Okay. Like that, the 18-year-old in the UK who's just starting to work out, he doesn't know what shirt to wear, but he just saw Mike Thurston wear Gymshark and he loves Gymshark. And so that natural, are you a Gymshark guy?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I respect and rate what they've done. Business, I know Ben, but I was never a Gymshark athlete.
Mike Thurston, like your own brand. What am I talking about? You understand mimetic desire than anybody. And so when they see, someone they like and respect, they gravitate towards that. And so when you're building a brand, the goal is not to influence the masses directly. It's to influence the people with influence. You look at like luxury brands, Van Cleef, like Van Cleef's having a huge moment, and Van Cleef's moment, they've been around forever. But now Drake is wearing it, and Future's wearing it, and then extends to guys like Central C. I like talking UK stuff. But
is that how it popped off? Like literally a couple of big celebrities wear it, and then everybody else wear it.
And then it really is not more complex than that. I mean, you see the Kardashian effect. She gets behind a product, and then all of a sudden, it branches out. Like Kim does it, and so then the other 10 influencers that follow Kim love it. Who do you think in like your general world is like the ultimate one, like The Rock or something, maybe?
What, in fitness?
No, I just mean like take it a step further from fitness, like masculine archetype of guy that's winning in the world.
You have like the Jason Statham.
Yeah.
Chris Hemsworth, although he's like family man, but you see him as like good role model.
Archetypes, yeah.
The Rock, but then obviously I just feel like The Rock is a bit of a
little different. Yeah.
He just can't speak his mind anymore because he's tied to too many things now.
Yeah.
Too many people are literally getting fed by his whole brand that he can't. Like, everybody went on Joe Rogan. I was like, this is going to be a sick conversation, and it was like just such a tame conversation
because he has to.
Yeah.
Doesn't that make the Kanye thing like that much more wild? That man will actually get up there and like.
Well, that's what I always respect, people that will just speak their mind and they're not afraid of the consequences.
Yeah, I mean, me too. I got nothing but respect for that. I mean, when you have a lot to lose, and you still go do it. It takes balls. Period. So
like Dave Chappelle, Cat Williams, like all these people just fucking.
Chappelle's hilarious.
Yeah. Just saying how it is. It's I definitely respect that for sure.
So yeah, that's kind of the mimetic desire flow, in my opinion.
What's your stance on relationships? Because you have a family, you're married.
Yeah. In the modern world, relationships are kind of a disaster. Like most of the things in Western culture in particular do not work well. And I mean, for so many reasons. You have the whole like feminism thing being pushed, and I'm not going to get you demonetized on YouTube, but my simple like answer is that they don't work. And so the exploration for new ideas and all that stuff needs to be kind of pushed. I got lucky with my wife, and I sacrificed a lot I've been with her 13 years, and it was before I had money, and you know, she's half Chinese, so kind of has that background, super supportive, very feminine, no desire to be like, seeking validation from the internet. Now, on the other end of that coin, I got my business partner, Jimmy, who's in Miami and just living it. You know, he makes 200,000+ a month as a 23-year-old kid, got a Urus. And I see the girls that gravitate towards him, and I mean, phenomenal, right? Like, cool. Like that it's a fun weekend, but you're not finding your wife there. Right. And so culturally right now, it's super difficult. I think what's worked in my world, because again, my wife and I decided that we're not going to just fall into mushy oblivion and I'm going to get fat and just sit around and not pursue anything else in my life, business-wise, whatever. And so she kind of opened that door of like, look, like I have a really what I would consider like a perfect life, having supported you for this past decade. I know you're a guy, like you're rounding into your peak. I mean, she's what I think most women are not, which is very rational. Oh, that's crazy. Am I going to get you demonetized? That's crazy. But that's one for the short form hook. but I mean, truly, most women aren't super rational. And, you know, she kind of took a step back with that. Like, look, you know, you've given us I live in a $10 million mansion in Puerto Rico on the beach. I got help for my kids. Like you've given me a really good life. If other like female opportunities exist, like do your thing, you know, don't X, Y, and Z. You don't get, you know, pregnant or whatever. Right. But she kind of had the foresight to say that's something I'm okay with. And that ties back to the whole life maxing thing too for me. It's like, it's now that I'm on the other side of that, it's actually hard to imagine a world where guys stop pursuing entirely. Like I think that right there, I'd be curious to get your take, because you're you know, single, you probably have the literal pick of the litter wherever. And so how do you think about a long-term relationship and like the thought of shutting it down forever, committing to one person? Like that's what is pushed on us in Western culture, and practically and logically, it just doesn't seem to work. Yeah. Everyone's getting divorced. Even the people that aren't divorced, you can tell they hate each other.
Yeah.
So what is the answer? And since my wife and I have done this, like people are like, oh, she probably hates it. Our life has literally never been better. I swear to God, I treat her better. Like she's more into me sexually. And it's just been a good system that, you know.
I think a lot of it is firstly down to the type of person the type of woman that you're with, because there's going to be some women that they're going to be absolutely destroyed if you are doing stuff either behind their back or even if you say into their face. Like it's just going to destroy them. And I think I've just been in a relationship and I kind of tried the whole open relationship thing, and I was like, look, every now and then something might happen when I travel, but I'm going to keep it super respectful. Like I will be honest with you, I'm not going to do like anything on social media. I don't follow any girls. I don't like any pictures. Like you're not going to see or hear about it. Like trust me. But it would still drive her insane, and there was constant arguments on a very regular basis, where I got to the point where I was like, okay, this setup with this specific type of person is not going to work.
What was she, Latina?
Yeah, Brazilian. So, but I mean, I guess that's the case with a lot of South American girls. Like, there's always going to be like, they're very feisty and fiery.
Totally.
And I was like, I couldn't deal with that in my life. Like, it was too much.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah.
Like a horrible life.
And obviously, I genuinely want the best for her. And I feel as though the type of person that she wants to be with and deserves to be with, it's not me. So I was like, this isn't going to work.
But see, I'd challenge that too. I really would. Like, she has that thing in her head of what she thinks she wants, but it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
She wants Mike Thurston that no other girl wants and only wants her. That doesn't exist.
Well, this is the thing as well. Like, most women need to understand this. If you are like the top 1% guy,
you have all the options.
Yeah.
Literally all of them. And that's what, my wife is rational, which I hate to even like boil it down to that, but like, that girl is not rational, right? And they can talk themselves into this idea or frenzy or I'll fix him or whatever. First of all, objectively, if she was to fix, like to make you what she wants, she would be inherently making you less desirable. Yeah. Like that is how she would do it.
Because she was wanting me to post couples pictures on social media.
So she would make you less desirable. And then eventually she would like you less. Like the whole, like there's a huge cognitive dissonance with all of it. But unfortunately it ties back to what I said earlier.
It's a complicated one. And like, I'm learning about it more and more, especially the people who are, especially guys that have become very successful. Either they've been married, they've been divorced, they have kids. I love to know what it is that they have gone through. And one thing that a few of them have mentioned is that like, in life, you go through different phases.
Totally.
And there may be a phase where you're at the right point to start a family, raise kids, and be with someone. But that phase might not necessarily last forever. And maybe in 5 years' time or 10 years' time, things are going to change. And then maybe you just are no longer in love with each other anymore. And then you just, it's a time for you to both go your separate ways. I think it's very, very difficult to find someone and be with them for the rest of your life and not to sleep with anybody else for the rest of your life. Like, I think that is...
Sounds miserable.
So, without a doubt, there's some people that do that, but I think that was easier to do 50 years ago. Now it's a lot harder.
I mean, and too, even if you do it, is that what you wanted to do with your life? I mean, I think that there's a huge component of like male energy is the ability to pursue. Like, you're not going to want to better yourself unless it involves you likely getting laid. Like, I mean, period. Like, that's the biological makeup of that. We're designed to reproduce. And so the second you sedate yourself, because that's what it is, you're no longer trying to better yourself because you're no longer trying to reproduce, then I think you're not life maxing is what I would say. You're not really experiencing everything.
Well, and I compare what my overall mood is and happiness is like when I'm single versus in a relationship. I mean, of course, when you do find somebody that you get along with, and you have, like the butterflies or whatever it might be, for the first 6 months or year, it's pretty amazing. Yeah. But it's the honeymoon period.
Yeah.
And that usually tends to fizzle out. And whenever it fizzles out and then the relationship becomes hard work, I was definitely not happy at that point in time. Like the last couple of months or even 6 months or year of that relationship, I was just like...
You hung in there for a while.
I was like, what have I become? Like, I can't do anything, because anything I do is going to upset this person.
Yeah.
Like, I can't spend time with the boys, can't go around acting like I'm single, can't do collaborations with girls, and like just all these things. It's like, fuck, I can't do this because it's going to make this person unhappy. And it's like, this life is not the life I want to live.
Latinas, bro. That's all I could really say.
Yeah. It's
sure had other trade-offs, but
yeah. So yeah, I don't know, but I've spoken to some older guys who say, yeah, if you are with someone and the honeymoon period ends, then that means you haven't met the one, because when you've met the one, that doesn't happen apparently.
See, I'm not even sure about that, because I look at it like we've had various like honeymoon. We've been together 13 years, and I think the underlying thing is just like objectively, I know she checks damn near all the boxes. Like, and again, that comes back to, you can't often have your cake and eat it too. You can't have like a wife that's not a whore and have her into all these other things. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, I don't even like to use words like that, but that's kind of like the objective take. And so when you look at like, what do you want as a wife? What do you want for someone raising your children? It's a different set of boxes in my opinion.
And how many kids do you have? You have two.
2.
How's that been?
It changes things like dramatically. I mean, it is a whole it shakes things up. All of a sudden, life is less about you. It's not just you and your partner anymore. You know, you got these other pieces in the equation that you're directly responsible for. And I think that's been one of the things that's kind of changed both of our perspective. You start looking at it, it encourages rationality. Like since the beginning of time, women, you know, I mean, their kids are literally dependent on them to survive. They breastfeed, right? Like the mother-child bond is everything. And so that, I mean, that's really amplified in the first couple of years. And you just have to adjust, you know, you have to start kind of building your life accordingly.
Yeah. Well, I've got all of that to come. I don't know it's going to happen because it's like it's a major life experience which I want to experience.
Totally.
But of course, you know, I've said this before on podcasts. Choosing who that person is going to be is like it's quite a big life decision. I've read some comments and some people are like, "Oh, he's overthinking it." Like,
no, you're
is
not
it what?
overthinking
It's wrong for me to overthink who I'm going to have kids with.
But I mean,
what the fuck do you mean?
There's another word. How many guys have you seen get sucked into like a really horrible relationship young and it like ruins them?
Yeah.
I mean, how many times have you seen that? I mean, it is to me, it is the biggest decision you'll make. So no, you're not overthinking it.
And your kids are going to be heavily influenced by the mother. Like if you don't like the type of person that the mother is, then you're gonna have a problem because your kids are gonna end up being very similar to your mother if you're not careful.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You're thinking about it the right way.
Yeah.
I don't envy your position because you're in that, you know, that micro 1% where you got to deal with it. You got to sort through a lot.
Yeah. What's your plan for the rest of this year?
Get back to Puerto Rico, lock in, really try to capitalize on this TikTok shop opportunity. I mean, I kind of see it that windows open every once in a while. Like I said, like early Amazon, I'm seeing that again. And so we're going to kind of get our team together. We split between Miami and Puerto Rico and just lock in. Probably do some Europe in summer, you know, kind of do some more fun things, but a lot of work this year.
Well, you mentioned before, like you had your account shut down.
Yeah.
Like, well, how do you stop that from happening? And how much does that affect business if you've actually built a pretty decent following on an account, and then what? You just have to rebuild another one.
Yeah. More or less. Like we'll find someone, take the specifics out of it. What I've felt about entrepreneurship over the past 8 years, it's just about being relentless. It's about not taking no for an answer. It's about like there always is an answer to something. You know what I mean? It's like the DMs on IG kill me. How do I start? Or it's always a problem. You know, like I can't do this because of this. It's like, well, your job is to figure out how to do it. Okay, I don't really care. Like your job is to figure out if that's where the money is. Your job is to go figure it out. I mean, even the UAE part, right? It's like, yeah, it's not allowed there, but if that's a commitment you're going to make, I know if you say I'm going to figure out how to get on TikTok Shop, you will figure out how to get on there, right? And that's entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll
I've got Elvis here. He's in charge of the whole TikTok thing and running the account, so he will have a new job for him to do. Awesome. I appreciate you coming on, man. I've enjoyed this conversation. Where can people find you on social media? RobTheBank on IG, Robert Oliver on YouTube. I'm gonna get back going on there, and hopefully a lot of TikTok. Hopefully we start seeing some more short form clips will be popping up. We'll see. Whose podcast would be like the dream person for you to go on? Honestly, I just enjoy conversations with people I respect. I think in the business world, I'll probably do My First Million. Have you seen theirs? I'm pretty close with those guys, and then actually in our general world, I like Chris a lot with what he's doing. I think he can be this decade's Rogan if he does it right. Yeah, I really do. It seems to be like his mission at the moment. He's headed that way. Yeah. Awesome, man. Appreciate it, brother, for real. Thank you. Keep up the good work.